If you're anything like me and always looking for the perfect travel film camera, something simple, something easy to use and compact, then the Contax T2 seems perfect on paper. But is it really? I picked up this book as soon as it came out, and it quickly became a big source of inspiration in my journey as a photographer. As a bit of a camera geek, I couldn't help but wonder what camera Sofia Coppola uses to capture all her behind-the-scenes moments. Turns out it was a Contax T3, but the price was insane. So as it happens, I went to my local camera store just to buy some film and somehow walked out with a Contax T2. So why not an Olympus or something like a Yashica T4? Well, I have a couple of Olympus compact cameras in my flat, but there were two main reasons why I wanted this Contax 2 specifically. Firstly, I really wanted a Carl's Zeiss lens. I was convinced that having a high quality lens will make my pictures look better. Secondly, I'm a sucker for design. It has a sturdy, beautiful titanium body, and I wanted a camera that wasn't just another piece of plastic. I wanted something beautiful that felt special to own. Call me superficial, but design matters to me, and it plays a part of why I buy the gear I do. In fact, it's one of the reasons why I shoot with Fujifilm digital cameras. At the end of the day, I'm a photographer and I'm drawn to beautiful things. And that makes sense considering that this camera was originally for professional photographers and collectors rather than just a normal person that wanted to take family pictures. It's also part of my kit that I take to jobs, and I've used it to document weddings and behind the scenes on shoots. The Contax T2 came out in the 90s, and now it's 2025 and we're still talking about it. So why is that? Well, Zendaya and Spider-Man use this camera. One of my favorite directors uses Contax cameras. So why not me? Why should I not use this camera? There is definitely an element of hype that drives the popularity of this camera, but I also believe it's because it actually produces very beautiful images with minimal effort. And that's why 30 years later, people are still buying this camera. The last time I went back home to visit my family in Italy, I took this camera with me. I brought it along to capture moments in Milan, in my hometown, in Venice, and in Massano del Grappa, a beautiful mountain city in the Veneto region known for its iconic bridge. The image quality is stunning, and this lens didn't disappoint me. I used a mixture of Portrait 160, 400 and Lomography 800 for these images. There are, though, a couple of things that I don't love about this lens. I'm not the biggest fan of the built-in vignette. I've noticed a lot of vignetting happening, and I rather add it on post-production than having as a built-in look in my photos. And of course, I have to mention the infamous autofocus. It's not perfect, it's not awful, it could be better. It does miss the focus sometimes. I would say maybe between 3 to 5 pictures per roll. The reason why I like this camera for travel is obviously for the pocket size. I believe that everything has to fit inside something this size or my backpack, depending on the cameras I bring with me. I usually bring 1 or 2 of my film cameras and my Fuji to do both photos and videos. This year I really want to become good at making videos too. And I usually bring with me my zoom lens, that's a great all-rounder, and maybe even a prime lens. The focal length is 38mm, which is great because it's not too tight, but at the same time not too wide, and it can be useful for portraits, landscape, for any situation that you find yourself when you're traveling. You might be wondering, why would I downgrade to a point and shoot when I have rangefinders, SLRs, medium format cameras? First world problem, I know, but the answer is simple. I wanted to go back to basics, enjoy the moment, and focus more on what I'm capturing rather than the technicalities. I've dealt with a lot of camera malfunctions, which is normal if you're using cameras that are 20, 30, 40 years old, and I was really craving something simple and straightforward to use. As much as I love medium format and the stunning results it produces, there can be loads of pressure on you when you have limited frames and every photo needs to be perfect for it to be worth it. And that can be overwhelming. Would you rather take fewer intentional shots or shoot freely and improve through practice? That's my dilemma, and I would like to know what you think about this. Now, this could have been the perfect camera for travel photography. It's small, it's compact, it's easy to use, the lens is great, if it wasn't for the steep price that, to be completely honest, feels unjustified. Thanks to the bird flash here, which actually still works perfectly fine, I managed to get a few £100 off this camera, so there it is, the hack to get this camera for cheaper. You can technically pick your aperture starting from 2.8, but you can actually select 2.8 directly. Instead, it defaults to automatic mode, which feels a bit misleading. I actually don't mind, as I knew what I was getting when I bought this camera, and it was kind of the point. I didn't want to be thinking about settings with this camera, so that's fine, but considering it was targeted at professional photographers, they could have just made this feature differently and it would have made such a big difference. My expectations of owning this camera ended up not matching the reality of actually owning a particularly expensive camera, and I find myself treating this camera as more of a collector's piece rather than something to use every day. And now I've had this camera for less than a year, and I used it way less than I expected to. I didn't do this intentionally. I was just thinking the other day, oh, when was the last time I used this camera? And then I realized it was more than 3 months ago. It pains me to admit this, but I probably wouldn't buy this again, for the simple fact that I don't use this enough. When I want to buy something new, I calculate the cost per use. So on things like my phone, my laptop, my main camera that I use for photo and video, I allow myself to splurge because they are things that I use on a daily basis. I might still keep this camera just because it has a beautiful design and it does produce beautiful images, and it's actually very easy to travel with, but it's more of a collector's camera for me rather than a piece of gear that I can use every single day. Let me know in the comments if you try this camera and your experience with it. I'm really curious to know. And that's everything from me today. I'll see you in the next video.